Hello and welcome to another dazzling, data-packed episode of Almost Breaking News. My name is Robert Llewellyn and these are the facts. Coming up in this episode, Tesla starts making cars in the Berlin Gigafactory. Australian tech billionaire wants to buy a coal plant so he can close it down. An electric cruise liner with a battery as big as a house. Massive methane leakage from oil and gas wells all over the globe. Uber are installing 700 car chargers in London. More developments in air mobility and an electric Aston Martin. Ooh, Mr. Bond, you look fully charged. Now, before we start, just a quick bit of philosophical reflection. A few short years ago, if you told me that Fully Charged would be going global, I'd have called you a total Farage. Thanks to YouTube, we have viewers all around the world, and next year there will be six Fully Charged live shows around the world. That is crazy. Really crazy. Australian viewers can look forward to their first Fully Charged Live in March 2023, as can Canadians. Yes, we can't say too much now, but we will be coming to in September 2023. We're also absolutely delighted to announce that at long last we will be heading to Harrogate in May of 2023, in addition to Farnborough in April 2023. The Yorkshire Exhibition Centre is a stunning setting for Fully Charged Live North, and we hope that wherever you're from, in the Midlands, the north of England or even Scotland, you will consider coming. Our Dutch debut is just under 2 months away, and the Lightyear fronted lineup is lekker! But it's an all-European affair and there will be a diverse attendee list. And we've just had word that XPeng Motors, or Xiaopeng, will be making its first European appearance at Fully Charged Live in Amsterdam, and we cannot wait to see the P5 and the P7 in the metal. Electrify America will be sponsoring Fully Charged Live USA, and we've got some incredible exhibitors signing up to join us in Southern California this September. But what about the show that started it all? Well, later this month, it will be the 4th Fully Charged Live UK, and it is already breaking all of our records. Expect everything you've loved about previous shows, but just much more on a significantly bigger scale. Now, we don't have time to go through it all now, but we promise it will seriously blow you away. Keep your eyes out on our social media to see what's there, and stay tuned to our podcast, because Dan and I will be discussing all the attractions, including our all-new home energy advice team. There, the future of flight. Yes, used EV zone, hundreds of used electric vehicles, and fully charged business. So whether it's Farnborough or Amsterdam or in San Diego, we would love to see you soon. Okay, back to the news stories. After a bit of bureaucratic delay, Tesla's Berlin Gigafactory has opened and is manufacturing cars. Now, I know there will be a lot of Tesla fanatics who will know all about this, but for the vast majority of the normal human population, this news may have passed them by due to other events taking place in and around Europe. However, now that the factory is up and running, a huge number of Teslas for the European market will be made there. Now, while I always hesitate to go on too much about what Tesla are up to, because let's face it, they don't need the publicity, some of the big, longer-term plans the company have, they are just jaw-dropping. They plan to be making 20 million vehicles a year by 2030. And if they get close to this, they will be the biggest car maker ever in the history of big car makers. And for context, currently the two big players in car manufacturing are Volkswagen and Toyota, who produce around 10 million cars a year each. And I just want to say that so far, against incredible odds, Tesla have been reaching their targets with surprising regularity. The Berlin factory is just another step towards achieving this goal. They now have factories in California, Nevada, Shanghai, Berlin, and soon to start production, Austin, Texas. I just want to remind you and myself that this is a car company that literally didn't exist 20 years ago, and it's grown to dominate the sector. I mean, if you go car spotting in the UK and only focus on electric models, Tesla make up at least half of the cars you see. In the UK, the Tesla Model 3 is now like the Ford Mondeo from 20 years ago. They are everywhere. They are common as muck. I used to think I was special and exclusive when I drove my Tesla Model 3. I'm just part of the herd now. Nothing special at all. What about going on a cruise ship for your holidays? Oh wait, well this is the dirtiest and most polluting holiday you could possibly have. Massive energy-hungry cruise ships burning thousands of tons of bunker fuel every day. It's crazy. Unless, of course, your cruise ship is 100% electric and charged with renewable hydroelectricity from the Three Gorges Dam. Like this crazy cruise ship that has just gone into service in China. The 100-metre-long zero-emission ship can haul up to 1,300 passengers at a time and is powered by batteries totalling 7.5 megawatt hours. I bet that takes time to trickle charge from a 3-pin plug. Okay, it's not quite the size of the obscene mega cruise liners that can blot out the sun if they sail near a city. They are massive, but this is the biggest battery electric ship I've ever heard of. 7.5 megawatt hour battery! That is chunky. Now, what about burning a coal-burning power plant with the publicly stated intention of closing the damn thing down? Well, that was the plan of a man called Mike Cannon-Brookes, co-founder of software giant Atlassian in Australia. Along with Canadian asset management giant Brookfield, Mr. Cannon-Brookes launched an extraordinary joint bid to take over AGL Energy, Australia's most polluting coal-burning power generating company, with the goal to shut its coal power plants earlier than planned. As it turned out, the owners of the dirty old coal plant turned down the $8 billion bid. But then this is happening in Australia, where coal is clean, according to the current government. It's spotlessly clean. You could literally eat it and you'd be fine. You probably would, but if you burn it and breathe it in, it's less good. Anyway, what is interesting in Australia is the contrast between the government, who are effectively living in the 1950s, and a large number of wealthy and very innovative Australians who are doing amazing things in the energy space. For example, Mr. Cannon-Brookes' other venture is to build the world's biggest solar farm in the Northern Territories in Australia. I've been to the Northern Territories in Australia. There's not a huge amount there. Yes, there's indigenous people who live there, but this will be built with them very firmly in mind. But there are vast tracts of land that basically do nothing except get hot. That's their basic role. According to Forbes, the $30 billion project aims to create a solar farm that can produce up to 20 gigawatts of peak electricity. That's like half of what this country, the UK, consumes at any one time. 20 gigawatts is mind-boggling. The world's largest battery that can store as much as 42 gigawatt hours of electricity, and the longest high-voltage DC submarine cable reaching from the northern coast of Australia to Singapore. So the long-term plan is, instead of exporting coal from Australia for countries like China and India to burn to generate electricity, they will just start exporting electricity with no burning involved. What a good idea! Construction will begin in 2024, with the project expected to deliver 800 megawatts of electricity to Darwin 2 years later, and supply 2 gigawatts to Singapore when the undersea cable becomes fully operational in 2028. So, from all that renewable energy optimism to the jolly old oil and gas industry, we can always rely on them for a good bit of balance. An international study involving researchers from around the globe reveals hundreds of major methane leaks linked to the global exploitation of oil and gas. So says the article in Clean Technica. It continues. Scientists show that the mitigation of all these methane leaks would lead to climatic and economic benefits amounting to billions of dollars for the main hydrocarbon producing countries. So it's now accepted that methane has approximately a 30 times greater impact on the climate than CO2. So every natural gas, I always hate that term, natural gas, an oil well is leaking methane into the atmosphere like it's going out of fashion, which of course it is. Strangely, this isn't an aspect of the production of fossil fuels that is widely advertised by all the companies running all these thousands of shoddy, poorly maintained systems around the world. Or the dozens of shills who post fake concern over the impact of battery manufacturing. They don't give a toss about methane leaks, no matter how slick their greenwashing advertising tells us. According to the Clean Technica article, the researchers analysed thousands of images produced daily for 2 years by ESA's Sentinel 5P satellite. There's a bit of a tongue twister. The Sentinel 5P satellite. They then mapped 1,800 methane plumes across the globe, 1,200 of which were attributed to the exploitation of hydrocarbons. They estimated that these leaks have a climate impact comparable to that of the circulation of 20 million combustion vehicles for a year. So it's quite a big impact. Imagine if we could take 20 million cars off the road today. That would be a big change. And I don't want to get too political, but if you look at the map of those methane leaks from around the world, there's a hell of a lot of them in Russia, a country we still buy oil and gas from. Okay, a more uplifting story. Uber. Uber have a slightly checkered reputation, possibly not the perfect utopian transportation solution we may have dreamed of, but they are doing something right in London, England. This is a report on Electrive. In the London boroughs of Brent, Newham and Redbridge, local councils are cooperating with Uber to install 700 chargers for electric cars on the streets. Uber is investing £5 million in the chargers, which will be branded by Uber but available for all drivers to use. The ride-hailing company says that more than 5,000 EVs are currently on the Uber app in London. And it says it's on track to more than double this number by the end of this year, the end of 2022. Uber wants to become an all-electric platform in London by 2025. This is a story we've reported on before. And I think it's really, really important, and it's very noticeable, the massive increase in electric vehicles. But you want to charge them somewhere, and that's what they're working on. This time last year, Uber launched its Uber Green EV-only option, initially in London's Zone 1, that's the very central area. But now, Uber says it will expand this option to the whole of the city, meaning that riders will be able to request an electric vehicle from anywhere in the city for the same price as a normal Uber X. Now let's take to the wild blue yonder, advanced air travel. As regular viewers will know, the coming revolution in aerospace technology is gaining momentum on a daily basis, and we've been reporting it regularly here on the Fully Charged Show. In the realms of advanced air mobility, or as we know it in the trade, AAM, there's been an announcement of a new partnership between the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, and a company called Supernal, don't know how you say that, an advanced air mobility company from Hyundai Motor Group. So they're not just set up out of nothing, they've got quite a big company behind them. There's an enormous amount of research and investment going into this sector. We've seen a fair bit of it in the UK with the likes of Electroflight, Zero Avia and Vertical Aerospace. But this tech development is happening all over the world. Supernal claim to be redefining the way we move. I can see this kind of a technology becoming common, but at the moment the main aim seems to be to get fairly wealthy people from the big commercial centres of big cities to the airport way faster than they can travel on the ground. Because all these aircraft use vertical takeoff and landing, they don't need big airports with long runways. They need something maybe a little bit bigger than a tennis court or a heliport, so much easier to fit into an urban environment. The long-term aim is, of course, to enable short-haul passenger travel between cities, London to Paris, Paris to Amsterdam, etc., by 100% electric aircraft, and they are quieter. Not silent, but quieter. Now, this stuff isn't happening overnight, but I think most of you watching will live long enough to see this become commonplace. I might not make it, but you never know. I did my 10,000 steps this morning. I might last a bit longer. Last story, and this one is a bit special for me. Now, I have never driven an Aston Martin. I've never even sat in an Aston Martin, and my brother used to work at the company. In many ways, they epitomise the ultimate desire of the petrol head. Although my admiration for the internal combustion engine is deeply tarnished, I can still appreciate the sound of an Aston Martin exhaust note. But it is amazing that such a small, almost cottage industry company has such a globally recognised brand, thanks partly to James Bond, but equally to the fact that they have been building rather amazing cars for the last 110 years. And this is not unique to Aston Martin. Most of the high-end, expensive supercar and sports car manufacturers have finally, begrudgingly, decided to start making electric vehicles. And yes, Aston Martin are finally, after various attempts and prototypes, building electric cars in conjunction with the new battery startup British Volt, whose enormous battery plant in the northeast of England is about to start construction. So don't hold your breath. Apart from the plug-in hybrid Valhalla, quite a cool name, isn't it? I don't think we're going to see a 100% electric production car from Aston Martin before 2025. But these are the first signs that they are intending to electrify everything they make. And also, they will be almost exclusively producing 100% electric cars by 2030. Well, that's all we've got time for. Really hope you enjoyed that. Loads more news coming soon and loads more live shows coming, as you well know. Please do subscribe to Fully Charged. Have a look at the Patreon link if you're of a mind. And as always, if you have been, thank you for watching.
Well, thank you so much for watching that episode. We hope you enjoyed. Robert's just having a little lie down because he's a bit pooped from filming that. So while he's doing that, let me tell you to watch this episode here. If you like that one, you're going to like this one. This is our most recent upload. Here is a link to subscribe to the channel, and this is a link to our Patreon if you fancy it.